It's a great environment, especially the work balance that we have. So spending the 2 weeks offshore is, yeah, it's a good compromise to having 3 weeks at home.
Imagine waking up in the middle of the sea, surrounded by nothing but water in every direction. There's no land in sight, no roads, no towns. Just the constant hum of heavy machinery, the clang of steel, and the unpredictable rhythm of the ocean below. This is daily life for thousands of offshore oil rig workers. It's not a job for everyone, but for those who take it on, it becomes more than just work. It's a lifestyle built around routine, discipline, and resilience. Working offshore is intense. Most oil rigs operate on a rotation system, commonly 14 days on, 14 days off, or 28 days on, 28 days off. That means workers live full-time on the rig for 2 to 4 weeks straight, often followed by an equal amount of rest time back home. Some companies use 21/21 or even 35/35 schedules, depending on the location and nature of the operation. The schedule is long and demanding, but it also allows for extended periods of time off, which many workers use to rest, travel, or spend time with family. A typical workday on an oil rig lasts 12 hours. These shifts can run day or night, and they alternate as needed. Crews are divided into two main teams to keep the rig running 24 hours a day. Whether it's blazing sun or a stormy night, someone is always working. The operation doesn't stop. Jobs on an oil rig are as varied as they are vital. Entry-level workers, often called roustabouts, handle the manual labor, cleaning, lifting, moving equipment, and assisting more senior crew. Then there are roughnecks, who work directly on the drill floor, managing the actual drilling process. Derrick hands manage the drilling fluids and control the mud systems used to stabilize the well. At the top are drillers and tool pushers, responsible for overseeing operations, making decisions in real time, and ensuring safety protocols are followed. Beyond the drill team, other essential personnel include mechanics, electricians, safety officers, crane operators, catering staff, medics, and engineers. Each has a specialized role, and they all have to work together seamlessly. No task is unimportant when you're isolated miles from shore, relying on teamwork to keep everything running safely. Safety is taken extremely seriously offshore. Workers are required to wear full personal protective equipment, including flame-resistant clothing, hard hats, safety goggles, gloves, and steel-toe boots. Before stepping foot on a rig, every crew member goes through extensive safety training. This includes courses in sea survival, firefighting, first aid, and helicopter underwater escape training, commonly known as HUET. These are not optional. In the event of an emergency, whether it's a fire, explosion, or medical issue, the ability to respond quickly and correctly could mean the difference between life and death. Drills are held regularly. Fire alarms and muster calls are part of the normal routine. Everyone knows their assigned role in case of an emergency. The safety briefings don't stop after onboarding. They're ongoing, reinforced with toolbox talks before every shift and regular audits by supervisors. It's not just about compliance, it's about survival. Technology also plays a growing role in rig operations. Modern oil platforms are equipped with automated monitoring systems, advanced drilling controls, and digital communication tools that allow workers on site to stay connected with teams on shore. This doesn't eliminate the need for human workers, but it does help them operate more efficiently and reduce certain risks. Despite these advancements, the environment remains challenging. Weather conditions offshore can change quickly. High winds, strong waves, and storms can impact operations or delay helicopter flights. In some areas, particularly in the North Sea or the Gulf of Alaska, conditions can become severe and unpredictable. Workers need to be prepared to adapt at a moment's notice. Fatigue management is a critical part of the job. Long shifts, physical labor, and the monotony of routine can wear people down. Employers implement rest policies, encourage sleep hygiene, and schedule rotations to allow for adequate recovery time. Still, the lifestyle can be taxing. For many, the hardest part isn't the work itself. It's being away from family and disconnected from the normal world. There is a strong hierarchy on rigs, but respect and teamwork are at the core of the culture. Senior staff are expected to mentor junior workers, and clear communication is valued over bravado. Everyone watches out for each other. A mistake made by one person can have serious consequences for the entire crew. That shared responsibility creates a bond that's difficult to replicate in other industries. Language and culture can also play a role. On many international rigs, crew members come from various countries and backgrounds. English is usually the working language, but communication has to be clear and direct, especially in emergencies. Crew members quickly learn to adapt and find common ground, building a culture of mutual respect. Work doesn't just involve the drill floor. Maintenance is constant. Machines need servicing. Systems need checks. Corrosion from the salty air needs to be monitored and managed. Equipment must be cleaned, greased, repaired, and tested on a routine basis. Documentation is crucial. Logs are kept for everything, from drilling progress and safety inspections to personal health checks and equipment calibration. For those in management roles, part of the job is overseeing compliance, coordinating with offshore logistics teams, and ensuring regulatory requirements are met. Every country has its own offshore regulations, but most major operations exceed those minimum standards. Regulatory bodies often inspect rigs to ensure everything is up to code. Training never stops. Offshore workers are encouraged or required to update their certifications regularly. New equipment, changing procedures, and evolving safety standards mean there's always something new to learn. For those who show commitment and competence, there are opportunities for progression. Many started as roustabouts and worked their way up to supervisors or technical specialists. Offshore work also has its benefits. The pay is often higher than equivalent land-based jobs. Meals and accommodation are provided. Some rigs have gyms, recreation areas, or even cinemas. The isolation also means fewer day-to-day expenses. No commuting, no restaurants, no shopping, which allows many workers to save significantly during their rotation. It's not a lifestyle for everyone, but for those who thrive in structure and routine, it can be deeply rewarding. The helicopter ride to the rig is often a worker's first taste of offshore life. Flying over the open ocean, the scale and remoteness of the operation becomes clear. Upon arrival, new crew are welcomed with an orientation session and safety briefing. From there, they're assigned to their cabins, meet their team, and begin their rotation. The sense of professionalism is evident immediately. Everyone has a role, and everyone understands the stakes. Oil rigs come in various shapes and sizes, but most offshore facilities follow a similar layout when it comes to accommodation. Living quarters are usually stacked vertically above the main working decks to protect them from spray and equipment noise. Inside, the space is functional and efficient. Cabins are typically shared between 2 people, though in some cases 3 or 4 may be assigned to a room, depending on the rig's capacity. Privacy is minimal. Bunk beds are the norm, often with curtains for some sense of personal space. Lockers or small shelves are provided for belongings, but space is tight. Each cabin includes the essentials: a small sink, personal storage, and sometimes a TV or radio. Bathrooms are usually shared between cabins, or there may be communal facilities depending on the rig. Showers are quick and hot water is available, but there's an unspoken rule not to waste it. Laundry is collected and returned on a schedule by housekeeping staff who work continuously behind the scenes to keep the living areas clean and operational. The days start early. A loudspeaker announcement or personal alarm signals the start of the shift, and workers begin preparing for their 12-hour work stretch. But before stepping onto the deck or into the control room, there's usually one stop everyone makes: the galley. The cafeteria, or mess hall, is the heart of off-duty life. It's where meals are served, conversations are had, and crew members reconnect between shifts. Meals on an oil rig are prepared by a dedicated catering team, often including trained chefs and kitchen assistants. The food needs to be filling, nutritious, and able to cater to a wide range of tastes. A typical day includes breakfast, lunch, dinner, and a midnight meal for those on night shifts. There are also snack options available between meal times. Menus often rotate weekly, but they usually include hot and cold choices, meat and vegetarian options, and plenty of carbohydrates to keep energy levels up. Breakfast might include eggs, bacon, porridge, toast, fresh fruit, and coffee. Lunches and dinners often offer choices such as roast meat, pasta dishes, stews, curries, vegetables, salads, and desserts like cake or fruit. Workers often praise the food quality, noting that well-prepared meals are essential for keeping morale high. Many rigs even take note of special dietary requirements, religious preferences, or food allergies. On special occasions like holidays or crew birthdays, the kitchen might serve themed meals or extra treats to boost spirits. Cleanliness in the mess hall is taken seriously. Hygiene standards are high, and kitchen staff follow strict procedures to prevent foodborne illnesses. Workers are also expected to follow rules about washing hands, cleaning up after themselves, and not entering the kitchen area unless authorized. After a long shift, rest is essential. Most workers head straight to the shower, then wind down in the cabin or common rooms. Depending on the rig, these shared recreational areas may include a lounge with a TV, gaming consoles, a small library, or even a pool table. The atmosphere here is relaxed. It's a place to take off the hard hat, share a laugh, and mentally disconnect from the intensity of the workday. In recent years, some rigs have introduced more modern facilities like mini cinemas, fitness studios, or dedicated quiet zones for reading or meditation. Internet access is available on many rigs, though it is often limited or filtered to conserve bandwidth and ensure it doesn't interfere with operational systems. Workers can usually check emails, make VoIP calls, or message family back home during their off hours. Video calls are possible, but often scheduled to avoid overloading the network. The ability to stay in touch with loved ones is a vital part of managing isolation, and most employers make an effort to ensure these communication tools are maintained. Entertainment comes in many forms. Some workers bring laptops preloaded with films, TV shows, books, or games. Others bring card games or instruments. Shared hobbies like darts tournaments or quiz nights are popular and help build camaraderie. Since crews are often multicultural, these social activities also encourage cross-cultural exchange, which strengthens bonds between people who may come from completely different backgrounds. Physical fitness is another cornerstone of offshore life. With confined space, limited daylight, and a physically demanding schedule, staying healthy is both a requirement and a coping strategy. Most rigs have a gym, though it might be a modest room with free weights, a treadmill, an exercise bike, and perhaps a rowing machine. Regular exercise is encouraged not just for physical well-being, but also to manage stress and maintain alertness. Some workers set workout challenges or group routines to stay motivated. Sleep, while technically simple, is one of the hardest parts of offshore living. Getting quality rest on a constantly vibrating platform surrounded by machinery and unpredictable weather is easier said than done. The noise of drilling equipment and HVAC systems runs constantly, and even though sleeping quarters are located above the working decks, the sounds travel. Workers often use earplugs, blackout masks, or noise-canceling devices to get better rest. On modern rigs, efforts have been made to design sleeping areas with improved sound insulation and airflow to promote better sleep hygiene. Cabin mates are assigned carefully. Wherever possible, workers on opposite shifts are paired together so one person can sleep while the other is working. This system minimizes the risk of disturbance and helps with routine. Still, people have different habits, snoring, light sensitivity, or messy habits, so patience and mutual respect are critical. The crew understands that rest is not just a comfort, it's a safety issue. Fatigue has been linked to accidents and poor decision-making, so managing sleep is taken seriously. Although workers live on site for weeks, they are technically still at work the entire time. There's no popping to the shop, going for a walk, or driving somewhere to clear your head. This lack of mobility can be mentally challenging. Cabin fever is a real concern, and the best crews are those who know how to manage their time off in productive or restful ways. Routine becomes a mental anchor. Meals at the same time, exercise at the same time, breaks at the same time. These small habits create structure in an otherwise unstructured environment. Mental health support is increasingly recognized as essential. While some older rigs might not offer much beyond an occasional chat with a supervisor, newer platforms or companies with stronger health programs provide access to telehealth professionals, psychological check-ins, or even mental wellness workshops during downtime. Crew leaders are trained to spot early signs of stress or burnout and know how to escalate concerns discreetly. Oil rigs are designed for function, not comfort. The environment is industrial, noisy, and confined. While there are designated areas for sleeping, eating, and relaxing, personal space is minimal. You're constantly surrounded by other people, yet it's easy to feel alone. This paradox, being physically near others but emotionally distant, can take a toll, especially during long rotations. One of the most common issues offshore workers face is sleep disruption. Most rigs operate on a 24-hour schedule, divided into two 12-hour shifts. Some workers are on the day shift, others on the night shift, and in many cases, workers rotate between them during their stint offshore. This type of shift work disrupts the body's natural circadian rhythm, the internal clock that regulates sleep and wake cycles. When you switch from days to nights or try to sleep while the rig is noisy and bright, your body resists. It doesn't know when it's time to rest. Sleep deprivation isn't just uncomfortable, it can be dangerous. Studies have shown that chronic sleep disruption impairs concentration, slows reaction times, and affects memory. On a rig, where one mistake can lead to serious injury or worse, being mentally sharp is non-negotiable. Employers are aware of this and have introduced fatigue management strategies, but there's only so much that can be done when people are living and working in the same space with limited ability to fully switch off. Fatigue isn't always visible. Some workers might look fine, but mentally, they're struggling to stay focused. Others may push through exhaustion, believing that showing signs of weakness could hurt their reputation or career prospects. This mindset can be especially common in environments with a strong culture of toughness and self-reliance. Unfortunately, it can lead to burnout or increased risk of accidents. Beyond fatigue, there are other psychological stressors. Being cut off from the outside world can lead to feelings of loneliness and disconnection. Even with internet access and scheduled calls home, many workers feel a deep sense of missing out on birthdays, family milestones, or just the comfort of being in a familiar place. This emotional distance can lead to mood swings, irritability, or even symptoms of depression. Offshore work also carries a degree of risk that adds another layer of mental stress. While safety measures are comprehensive, the nature of the job means that workers are always aware, on some level, that they are in a potentially hazardous environment. The constant hum of alarms, safety drills, and emergency planning is a reminder that things can go wrong. This underlying tension can be draining, especially over time. Group dynamics can also have a significant impact on mental well-being. On a rig, you're often placed with a team you didn't choose, from different countries, cultures, and backgrounds. While many crews develop strong bonds, conflicts can and do occur. Personality clashes, miscommunication, and misunderstandings can escalate quickly in such a confined space. There's no walking away, no going home, no break from the group. Learning to navigate these dynamics requires patience, maturity, and often the ability to compromise. In recent years, attention to mental health in offshore work has grown, but challenges remain. Some companies have introduced onboard counseling, mental health training for supervisors, or access to remote psychologists. However, stigma still exists. Many workers are hesitant to speak openly about stress, anxiety, or depression for fear of being seen as unfit for duty. In a workplace where reliability and resilience are highly valued, admitting to mental strain can feel risky. There have also been concerning reports of more severe psychological issues. Some studies have shown that a significant portion of offshore workers report symptoms of anxiety, depression, or post-traumatic stress, particularly following incidents like accidents, fires, or medical emergencies. The cumulative effect of stress, fatigue, and emotional suppression can lead to longer-term mental health conditions that may not fully emerge until after a worker has returned home. To counteract these risks, employers are being urged to take a more proactive approach. This includes mental health screenings before deployment, regular check-ins during rotations, and more robust support systems both offshore and onshore. Training programs now often include components on stress management, emotional awareness, and conflict resolution. These are no longer seen as soft skills. They are essential for safety and team cohesion. Another area of concern is bullying and harassment. Some workers report feeling intimidated or mistreated by supervisors or co-workers, especially when speaking up about safety issues or mental health. In such a closed environment, power dynamics can become skewed, and fear of retaliation can prevent people from reporting problems. Ensuring a respectful, inclusive culture on board is not just about morale, it's a fundamental part of creating a psychologically safe workplace. The impact of offshore work doesn't stop when a rotation ends. Many workers describe a period of adjustment when they return home, sometimes called re-entry. It can be strange to suddenly switch from a highly structured, communal lifestyle to the freedom and unpredictability of home life. Relationships may be strained, especially if communication during the rotation was limited. Workers may feel out of sync with their families or struggle to re-engage with everyday tasks and responsibilities. Some oil and gas companies now offer reintegration programs or provide access to counseling to help manage this transition. Workers are encouraged to take time to rest, reestablish routines, and talk openly with their families about the challenges they've faced. This kind of support helps build long-term resilience and reduces the risk of mental health issues building up over time. Peer support also plays a powerful role. Talking to someone who has been through the same experience can make a big difference. Some rigs have formalized peer mentoring programs, where more experienced workers guide and support newer crew members. Others rely on informal systems of camaraderie, where crewmates look out for one another and offer a listening ear when needed. Despite all these challenges, many offshore workers take pride in their ability to cope with the unique demands of their job. They develop routines that help them stay grounded, find humor in tough situations, and build strong connections with their crew. The sense of purpose, teamwork, and accomplishment can be incredibly rewarding, and for many, the benefits, such as good pay, extended time off, and the satisfaction of doing difficult work well, outweigh the hardships. Still, as the industry evolves, so must its approach to mental health. Recognizing the psychological demands of offshore life is no longer optional. It's a critical component of safety, performance, and long-term sustainability. Supporting workers' mental well-being isn't just the right thing to do. It's a strategic necessity in a field where human error can have enormous consequences. One of the most defining aspects of offshore life is the camaraderie that develops among crew members. When you live and work with the same group of people for weeks at a time, bonds form quickly. These aren't surface-level friendships, they're built through shared effort, trust, and countless small acts of support. Whether it's helping a teammate lift a heavy load, watching out for each other's safety on the drill floor, or simply offering a word of encouragement after a tough shift, the connections become deep and lasting. This bond is partly a result of the environment. Offshore rigs are isolated, high-risk workplaces. In such conditions, looking out for one another isn't optional. It's a survival mechanism. There's a shared understanding that every person's actions can impact the entire team. If one person cuts corners, others might pay the price. That awareness builds a culture of accountability. You show up on time, you follow protocols, and you help when needed. Not just because it's expected, but because it's part of being a good crew member. Over time, a kind of unspoken rhythm develops. Crews learn to read each other without needing to speak. They anticipate needs, understand personal boundaries, and pick up on subtle changes in mood or energy. This social intuition becomes crucial, especially in situations where verbal communication may be limited by noise or protective gear. On some rigs, workers come from different countries and speak different languages. But even across cultural lines, the shared mission brings people together. Leadership also plays a huge role in shaping the offshore culture. Strong crew leaders know how to manage both the technical and emotional dynamics of the team. They set the tone through their behavior, demonstrating calm under pressure, listening to concerns, and ensuring that everyone feels included and respected. Good supervisors understand that their influence extends beyond the job list. They are role models for how to maintain professionalism, composure, and fairness in an environment that can quickly become tense or overwhelming. The best teams are those where mutual respect runs in all directions. Senior workers mentor juniors, passing down skills, tips, and insights that can't be learned from a manual. At the same time, newer crew members are expected to ask questions, show initiative, and pull their weight. This mutual exchange builds trust and maintains a continuous cycle of learning and growth. It's how operational knowledge is preserved and how a sense of legacy is passed from one generation of offshore workers to the next. While camaraderie helps people cope with the mental and emotional demands of the job, the industry is also evolving to provide better structural support. In the past, mental health and wellness were rarely discussed openly. The attitude was often one of toughness and silence. Deal with it. Don't complain. Get the job done. That mindset is beginning to shift, with many companies now recognizing that mental well-being is critical to both safety and long-term employee retention. Improvements are being made in living conditions, such as noise reduction in cabins, better lighting for circadian rhythm support, and more ergonomic sleeping arrangements. Some rigs have introduced wellness programs that include meditation sessions, physical therapy support, or access to confidential counseling services. These efforts are not just about comfort, they are directly tied to performance, alertness, and overall morale. Technology is also changing the way crews connect and operate. Modern rigs have more reliable internet access, allowing workers to stay in better contact with their families. This link to home is a lifeline for many. Being able to video call a child or partner, even for a few minutes, can dramatically improve a worker's mindset. Having that window into normal life helps anchor them, making the isolation feel less severe. Advancements in digital tools also mean that more training, safety protocols, and performance monitoring can happen in real time. Augmented reality devices, wearable sensors, and smart monitoring systems are slowly becoming integrated into daily operations. These tools can reduce manual labor, help predict equipment failures, and even provide feedback on worker fatigue. While these changes don't eliminate the need for human skill and decision-making, they do ease the physical and mental load on the crew. But not every change has been positive. In recent years, there's been growing concern about the effects of extended shifts. Some companies have experimented with longer rotations, up to 5 or 6 weeks offshore, to reduce transportation costs or streamline crew management. While this might make sense on paper, the human cost can be high. Prolonged time away from home increases fatigue, isolation, and stress. Workers report higher levels of mental strain, especially when they feel their needs are being overlooked in favor of efficiency. Tragic incidents have highlighted the consequences of failing to prioritize mental health. In one widely reported case, a crew member on a North Sea platform was killed by a colleague who was later found to be experiencing a serious psychological crisis. The incident raised hard questions about whether enough was being done to monitor and support mental well-being offshore. Investigations revealed gaps in mental health assessments, stigma around speaking up, and a lack of proper intervention protocols. Such events have acted as wake-up calls for the industry. Many companies have since strengthened their commitment to building safer, more supportive environments. There is growing recognition that a healthy crew is not just a safety issue. It's a moral and operational imperative. Workplaces are now being encouraged to foster open communication, provide accessible mental health resources, and promote a culture where it's safe to ask for help. Looking ahead, the oil and gas sector faces increasing pressure to adapt, not only in terms of environmental responsibility, but also in how it treats its workforce. As younger generations enter the field, expectations around work-life balance, mental health, and workplace respect are shifting. Future workers are likely to demand more transparency, better support systems, and a more holistic view of employee well-being. One encouraging trend is the rise of employee-led initiatives. On some rigs, workers have organized peer support groups, social committees, or onboard events to improve morale. These grassroots efforts show that culture doesn't have to come from the top down. When people are given the tools and freedom to look after each other, strong, positive communities can form. Communities where everyone feels valued, supported, and able to thrive. Despite the challenges, many offshore workers describe their experiences with pride. There is a strong sense of identity tied to this kind of work. It takes grit, discipline, and adaptability. Not everyone can handle the pressure, the isolation, or the routine. But those who can often say that it changed them for the better, made them tougher, more focused, and more appreciative of the small things in life. Life on an oil rig is not for the faint-hearted. It tests your patience, your resilience, and your ability to work as part of a team. But it also offers a unique kind of fulfillment, the satisfaction of being part of something complex, important, and real. The friendships formed, the skills gained, and the personal growth experienced offshore leave a lasting impression. As the industry continues to evolve, one thing remains constant. The core of it all is still people, strong, capable, and connected by something bigger than any individual role. That human connection is what keeps the offshore world turning.